All right, I'm trying to give a couple of people a few minutes to get on here, and then we're going to get started. Okay, sorry for the delay. If you all were scheduled for 6 o'clock, we were too, but clearly we had some technical difficulties, i.e., that would be me. But nonetheless, we are not going to let this stop us from having a phenomenal time with our phenomenal guest today. But first, let's get the preliminary stuff out of the way. If you are watching the replay or if you're joining us live, welcome. I'm Christyl Benford. I am a mindset advocate. I am a business owner of Zeely Creative Brand Studio, where I have branded so many different types of entrepreneurs, authors, um, authors, speakers, event planners, even churches, and I love what I do. Even during the branding, though, I always have to deal with the mindset, because the mindset is key if you want to do anything successful in life. Whether you decide to fail, which hopefully nobody does, or if you decide to win, it is all start in your mindset first. Okay, so also I wanted to let you guys know that if you haven't grabbed your cards yet, make sure you grab your 30-day affirmation cards. Okay, see that? They are amazing. And I'm not just saying that because I made them. No, I'm saying that because other people enjoy them and they love them. So you'll get your affirmation on the front and you get a new scripture every day on the back. And the wonderful thing about this is once your 30 days are up, guess what you can do? You can rinse and repeat. Okay, like I said, it's all about the mind, all about the spirit. Make sure we are educating ourselves so that we can live a better, optimal life, and make sure we're leaving a legacy for our children and our children's children, and on and on and on. But since what I said, leaving a legacy, that brings me to what we're going to be talking about today, which is understanding your teen's mindset. So even if you have a tween, which is the adolescence age from 11 years old to 18, maybe even up to 19, then you are in the right place. You don't want to miss this. So without further ado, I have to introduce you to my phenomenal guest. His name is Julius Benford. He is wonderful. Yes, if you notice, we have the same last name. He's my cousin brother. Okay. He's actually my husband. He's my husband's cousin, but he is my family. Okay, not just by marriage, but I feel like he is like literally my brother, and he is so amazing. He has done so many things, and I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit more about what he does. He is phenomenal. He has been working with youth for almost 20 years. That's right, people. I say 20 years. He has been working with youth for almost 20 years, and not just on the church side, but in the school system and on and on and on. And with organizations, he's getting his master's degree right now as we speak. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to see and taste and see that the Lord is good and that Julius is good for yourself. Okay, so without further ado, I probably said that like a million times. We're going to talk about understanding your teen's mindset, and let's get in introducing my brother, Miss Benford the third. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Christyl, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you? I'm trying to get in this camera line. How you doing?
I'm good. It's gonna be really hard for me to not call you Lynn. So
That's okay. Call me Lynn. I get it. That's okay. They'll know. They see us, so they know who we talking to. So yeah, that's totally fine. So okay, so I know I gave a little brief, but I think that we can always tell stuff about ourselves better than what somebody else can tell. So tell them what your bachelor's is in and what you're getting your master's in.
So my bachelor's is in interdisciplinary studies. I was a non-traditional undergrad student. So, but I learned later that the degree that my undergrad degree definitely helped me understand things better with what I'm doing now, and then being able to use those skills to what I'm actually going to school for now, and it just gives more clarity to a lot of different things. So interdisciplinary studies, and like Christyl said earlier, I'm pursuing my master's in clinical mental health counseling. So
Nice.
yeah, so I'm stressed out all the time, but at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. So I'm
I
excited.
tell you what, that's probably a part of the journey, Mr. Master's degree. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a part, and then not only that, but it's not like you're just getting a master's only. You have a family, a wife, children. I mean, a job. You know, you're not just out here in these streets just a student, and that's all you have to do. You actually have a full life.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think some people. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure. Okay, I was trying to make sure that they can. Ah! Sorry, I'm getting some feedback, but I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anyone over here. I hope. Okay, good. They said they can hear. Okay, good. So before we get started, guys, I want to make sure that you all understand that this is not just a lecture. I don't want you to just hear us talk, but I want you all to engage. We want to hear what you think. We want to hear your opinions. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. We would love to answer them. We might not answer them during the conversation, but definitely afterwards, we will be answering your questions. So please shoot us a question, engage in the conversation. This is a discussion, not a lecture. This is a discussion, and we love to hear what people have to say. Yes, we do, but keep it clean, okay? That's all I'm gonna say about that. Keep it clean. Which you guys are pretty good with doing that, but just go ahead and keep it clean. Also, if you're on here, go ahead and share and invite your friends and all your people that you love. Invite them to this live broadcast because we are about to get into the good. And Julius is about to drop some heavy knowledge. Look, I know he's like, please don't suit me up, but he's about to drop some heavy knowledge on us. So we are about to get into it right now because I forgot to add all that stuff in the preliminary. Okay, so I'm gonna whip out my questions, Julius.
Yeah.
Okay, so but like I said, he has now you got to tell them because of course I know, but you have to tell them what is the age range because you have four. They're not babies. I say babies because I've known all of them since they were babies.
Yeah.
But you have four children. Give the age range of your children so they know that you are just not degreed and studied in understanding adolescence, but you know from your own house. So give the age.
Yeah. So my oldest baby, I call them babies too. My oldest baby is 21. And then my son, he's 20, just turned 20.
Wow.
And then my middle baby, she's 14. And then the youngest boy, he's 8. So yeah, so very all the way up and down.
So
And
8 to 21?
yes, 8 to 21.
I just cannot believe that little girl that I used to hold when y'all was living in Florida is
Yep.
21. And he has a new addition to the family, which is, congratulations, her husband. Nia is married. That's his eldest. She is a newlywed. So yay, Nia!
Yeah.
We're so proud and happy of her, happy for her. Also, tell them about you have 2 in the military. Your 2
Yep.
oldest are in the military. What are they? They're Army, right?
Well, Nia just actually finished her contract, so she was done as of last Friday. So she's former military now, and Justin is active duty, and they have him all the way in Poland right now. So
Wow.
send prayers and love to Justin all the way out in Poland.
Yes.
He's ready to come home right now. So
I bet because I always imagine Poland cold, which is somewhere I don't want to be, but but oh, that's awesome. But at least he's seen the world. I'm so proud of them. I love those babies. I love all of them. Those are the babies. But okay, so without further ado, let's get into some of the questions that we have. Now, like I said, you guys are more than welcome to join in on the conversation. Drop your comments. Make sure that you are hitting the like and the love button. We want to hear from you because that also boosts us in these algorithm streets. So please, if you want to keep seeing what we're doing, then I'm going to need you to show us some love, okay? Okay, so first, I have to ask you this. When did you first realize that you were passionate to the point where you wanted to work with adolescents? What's your story behind that?
So I started undergrad, like you had read, said that I was living in Florida at the time. So the school I was going to at that time, I was an education major, so it had already kind of been in me to pursue a field where I was trying to be most useful, have an impact on this world. So I thought education was going to be the key. But things change. Life becomes very real when you actually have not one but two kids at the very end of your college life. So I had to make a decision, and I decided to send my family back to Colorado, where we're from, to get some more help. But at that time, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I know I needed a job. So I kind of relied on one of my really best friends, Kevin Wilson. He was already working in the Denver public school system at the time. We would talk all the time, and he's like, "Hey, man, I could probably get you a job as a paraprofessional working at one of these schools." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Nice.
And it came about. Had a quick job interview, and I started working at this middle school. Now, a paraprofessional, it is.
Thank you. Because you know I was going to ask you that. For those of us that don't know, what is a paraprofessional?
Yeah, for those of us that don't know, a paraprofessional is like a teacher's aide, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't a traditional paraprofessional. They were able to kind of see my skills before I could see them.
Right.
Just give you a little story about my interview process when I actually went to that school. The principal was a black man who'd been in the system for a long time, and it was a school that he completely turned around. Right, he Joe Clark that situation.
Yeah.
And, he went in there, and I had my interview, and after we talked, he said, "I want to do something. I want to show you something." So he takes me to this class that I didn't know at the time was probably one of his roughest classes. It was mostly boys in that class. It was a math class, I believe, and it was taught by a teacher that was he was a first-year math teacher in middle school. So I went in there, and he introduced me as just someone observing the class. So he was talking to the kids about how they should, do better and really just trying to show their best selves all the time. And he allowed me to talk to the kids. So this is the first time I've ever done anything like this before.
Wow.
But I felt very comfortable in that space to just talk to them. My dad always used to tell me that, you don't need to be afraid of us. Right.
That's good. Yeah.
So
that's good.
I took that in there. I said, listen, I was talking to these kids as though they were my little cousins.
Right.
And surprisingly enough, one of my youngest cousins, he was actually going to the school at that time. I think he might have been 7th grade at that time. So when I went into that classroom, I gave the kids a story about, why do people sag their pants? And
wow, that's good. You told them the history behind it.
The history, exactly.
Yeah.
And those kids were floored because they never heard it before.
Right.
So when I left there, I didn't know I was getting the job or not. I just felt comfortable in that space talking to those kids. And me and Mr. Tarver shook hands, and I went about my business. And I think maybe next day or two, I got a call, and he told me he had to have me. That's what he said.
I love it.
So, yeah, it was a beautiful situation, and I'm forever grateful for Mr. Tarver and giving me that opportunity, because it really just set me on a path to be able to be an impact, for young people, young Black and brown people specifically.
Absolutely.
And being able to just be there and be present.
Yeah, I love that. That's almost like a God appointed destination. You know what I mean? Like, you weren't like really intent on this is what I wanted to do, but it's like just your skill and not even your, and I don't mean your skill like what you learned, but like your passion for talking to the youth, for being truthful. Because I think, and I know we're going to dive into this a little bit more, but I think with when we're dealing with young people and we're trying to communicate and talk to them, we always come from this level, talking down, like I'm the elder, listen to me, this, that, and the other, instead of more talking so on their level. And like I said, I know we're going to dive into this, so I know they appreciate and they were able to understand and relate to you when you talked on their level as to why when they're doing the things that they're doing, then you're giving them the background. You know why people sag their pants, you know why people did things like this. It wasn't just for fashion, and so you being transparent and being on that level with them, I know they appreciate it, and I bet you not one of them forgot the story. So I love how everything just moved, because you're really good. I've seen you with your kids. I know how you are with my daughter, with Madison, and I can only imagine how you are with other children that you come in contact with. So I love that story, that you weren't even looking for it. It just like found you. It was like, hello, I'm Destiny. Here I am. Come. I absolutely love that. So I want to get to the next question. So in your own journey, what was the biggest challenge you faced when your kids were teens? Because you have a teen now. How old is Morgan again?
14.
Yes, she's at the beginning of her teen. So what was one of the biggest challenges you faced? It could have been a collective, something that you saw that was similar, or it could be like one thing that you really remember. And what was that biggest challenge, and how did you overcome that particular issue?
So I think with all of my kids, Nia, Justin, and Morgan, specifically Nia at first, because, her being my first, she was, what I call my test baby, because I didn't know, I didn't know anything. So, but her going into teens, and then Justin following right behind her, like, almost a year and a half later, kind of helped me lay some groundwork with how I dealt with how I deal with Morgan, being 14 now. The biggest thing that I really just took away from what I learned, just trying to trial and error with Nia and Justin, was just being able to really learn how to listen more than talk. Right?
Oh,
we talk about how we're always on this pedestal and we're looking down, right?
Yeah.
I learned that nothing is really accomplished when you're coming from that standpoint, or trying to be on the soapbox all the time.
Right.
You'll be very surprised, even now in the work that I do now, if you just listen. Like, kids will tell you everything. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
Yeah. My grandmother used to say, my grandmother used to say, she said, if you be quiet long enough, a person will tell you everything you need to know. She said, just learn how to be quiet and listen. And that is so true.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't like to do that as parents, because we come from this superiority complex where we feel like, all right, these are our kids. They should be listening to us, and they should always need to hear what we have to say. But there's a lot of wisdom from just listening to a kid who's actually going through whatever they're going through, because we don't know everything, even though we like to believe it. We don't know everything.
Right. I love that. I know this is not in the questions, but I have to ask this. The question that I'm going to ask, is it the quote, "I told you so"? Is that effective? I told you because I said so. That's the one. Because I said so. That quote that I think generations, centuries and decades probably of parents have said, because I said so. Is that effective? Now, I know how I feel about it, but you, from a professional standpoint, and even from a standpoint as a father, is that effective?
So when you say that, right, it comes from a negative place, because I said so.
Yeah.
Things can always be reevaluated, and rechanged around to create a new narrative. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But when you go from a place where you're always pulling from things that didn't work for you and you giving that back to your kids, you got to ask yourself, all right, is this really working? And because I said so has such a finite thing to it, right? It's the end and that's it. But it leaves the kid so confused, like, all right, but I still got questions. And now I can't ask those questions because you shut the door on that situation. So what am I supposed to do with that?
Right. Let me tell you how on point that is. I remember because I did not rate. I hated that. I hate because I said so. No, you didn't answer the question. That's what I used to think as a kid. You didn't answer the question. Yeah. And I'm still confused just because you said because I said so. But I have not raised my daughter. She is 8 right now. And I have never said to her because I said so. I always try to give her an explanation, of course, on her level. I don't try to go too deep with it, but I try to give her explanation even on her level. Even when she was a baby, I would mimic like hot. We don't touch no. Ow. I try to do something even when she couldn't really talk for her to understand the severity of something that I was telling her not to do. Not just because I said so, but my grandmother, I said, well, Grammy, why such and such and such? And my grandmother is a G. I love her to life. God rest her soul. But she was quick to say, because I said so.
Yeah.
Or because I told you to. Yeah. And I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be obedient, but that still don't make sense. That I didn't say that because I would have no lips, but but I still, as a kid, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why am I doing this? What is the reasoning behind this? Yep. So I love that you said that. It does come from superiority. It's kind of, because I said so. You still didn't solve the problem because I'm still confused.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, welcome. For those of you that are just tuning in, we're talking about understanding your teen's mindset. So even if you don't have a teen, we're talking about tweens, adolescents. I almost said it wrong. Adolescents, that would be 11 to 18 or 19 years old. But even if your child is younger, mine is younger, 8, one day we pray that they're going to grow up and be 18. So it's good to get this information now and not try to figure it out when they become a teen. So this is my guest. For those of you just joining, Julius Benford III, my cousin brother. I didn't stop saying that. But he's phenomenal. He will be sharing his expertise. So yeah, if you want to learn the rest, we'll talk about that later. Learn more about Julius. We'll talk about that later and how you can work with him. So Ju, let's get to this other one. Oh, for first, before we finish, so your biggest takeaway, like that biggest challenge that you would say you had with your kids, how did you fix it? How did you fix that particular thing or resolve it?
So that kind of thing is really ongoing because you always go back to what's familiar. And yeah, sometimes when, let's be honest, like as parents, sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes we get beside ourselves and we don't, quote unquote, want to be bothered. So we go back to those old things where it's like, all right, I just don't want to answer this question right now. So being able to realize that and recognize it and then be able to, again, change that belief, recognize it, understand what it is, and then change it is a continuous thing. My family, they love Hamilton, right? And
oh, my daughter too.
They love it. So one of the songs in there, it goes, talk less, smile more, right?
Yeah.
And so I use that kind of as an analogy, right? Like if you talk less and you're smiling more, that means you're listening, that you're paying attention, that you're being attentive, and you're being in a better space to listen, and it allows your kid to be in a better space to be heard.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I like to talk less and smile more. And you're listening. Oh, I like that. Yeah, my daughter is obsessed with it too. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to hear the songs like all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good. I mean, it's not nothing bad, but my gosh. It's like listening to I don't know, one of the princess songs over and over, but it's Hamilton.
Yeah, yeah. Same in my house.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so listen, working with adolescents, what would you say was the most common self-sabotage behaviors or mindset challenges that you see hold the young people of this day and time, that you see holds them back from succeeding in school and in society? Now, I know that's a loaded question,
Yeah.
but what would you like some sabotage issues, mindset issues that's really holding them back? And you can talk as broad as you want to. Matter of fact, let's break it down. Let's start as far as social skills. Let's start right there, dealing
So
with the social skills.
really, they're all one and the same. There were three that immediately came up to me was not believing in themselves. So many times, and I can elaborate on that a little bit. So many times, the work that I do, whether it's seeing clients or my day job, is I'm a site coordinator for a nonprofit organization that works within the school. So I do a little bit of counseling in that space also. So and I work with high school kids. And the biggest thing that I see on a daily basis is kids coming into my office, or we're in a Zoom, is Mr. Benford, I don't know how to do it. Mr. Benford, I'm not comfortable with doing X, Y, and Z. Mr. Benford, I don't think I can do this, right? So they don't have any belief in what they can do. They don't recognize, especially high school, they don't recognize that if I'm a senior, guess how many other years that I went through to get to this point?
Wow.
So
yeah.
You telling me you can't do it, but guess what? You did it already.
Yeah, that's good.
You did it.
Yeah, that's good.
So that was one that was really key. The other one is having a trusted adult around you.
That's good.
When kids don't have somebody that believes in them, it's like drowning a puppy.
Yeah.
Like it's sad because there's no backbone there for that kid or model that kid can look to say, hey, I could do this thing because you did it.
Yeah.
They need that. Like kids need like models to look after, or somebody that whether it be at the school, whether it be at church, whether it be just someone in their community. I like to believe that the first trusted adult that a kid should have should be their parents.
Yes. Now that's the truth. I agree.
Yeah. And a lot of times that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So kids have to find other ways of finding what they believe is a trusted adult. And most of the time it's a kid that's probably a couple of years older than them, who's out in the streets doing nonsense. And then they hold on to that and believe that this is the way that I'm supposed to live my life.
Yeah. Golly. And that's so unfortunate because even we as adults, as we go through life, and if we're trying to really succeed or progress in something, whether it's a field of study, whether it's our jobs, our careers, whatever, or even relationship, we're looking for mentors, or we're looking for counselors or something, somebody to kind of tell us, you need to be on this path. But like you said, it first starts in the home. And it's amazing that the children or the young people are dealing with these same issues of feeling like they're not good enough to do it, or like they're scared. So would you say that it's more of a fear of failure or a fear of success? What would you say as far as like them feeling like they can't do it, but where is that stemming from?
I believe that just from those two things, whether it's are they afraid of failing, or are they afraid of what the possibility of success looks like? Both, they don't know what it is. So when you present something to somebody, the first thing that they're going to do is question it anyway, especially if it's something that they've never done. So
Yeah.
when you go into that space and you realize, oh, I can actually do this, all those things start to rush in. I'm afraid, because then our belief system starts to kick in. That negative belief system starts to kick in and
Yeah.
say things that we may have dealt with as a kid. And I'm talking about adults now, right? Like as an
Yeah.
adult, there's things that you dealt with as a kid that you've never addressed before, but they start kicking in when you start achieving new goals and things that you start seeing in your life that start to grow. And then you start realizing, oh, like this is something that occurred when I was a kid that I never addressed before. And this is the reason why I'm self-doubting. This is the reason why I'm self-sabotaging my situation. This is the reason why I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And as a kid, you know, they're seeing these things through their parents a lot of times. And then when their parents are doubting themselves, and then the parents not a trusted adult, they're probably putting things into that child's mind, or putting things around them in their lives that they're seeing, that they're realizing that they can only go so far. Or when they see a success, they're not looking at it as success. They're looking at it as something that's so foreign to them that they're not even willing to attempt to try it, because they don't know what it looks like.
Woo! So you mean to tell me, honey, this goes down generationally?
Absolutely.
Unless they are surrounded by someone that can help them to break that almost like a perverted, and people think perversion means sexual all the time. It doesn't. But that perverted perception or that perverted mentality, until they can get around somebody that can help them to break that, it's like it's ongoing from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Golly.
Absolutely.
That's so unfortunate. You have something else? It sounds like you have something else.
That was the other thing, the last thing that came to my mind about sabotaging those behaviors is kids have to work on not being afraid to be challenged.
I like that. Not being afraid to be challenged.
Yes. Yeah. So if it's a math test, and I know that this math test is at the end of the week, that they gave it to me, they told me on Monday that this test is at the end of the week, I'm not going to put in the time to study for this math test, because one, I deem it to be hard. And when things are hard, I'd rather just shut down and not do what I need to do in order to be successful, right? So I don't want to be challenged in recognizing my greatness, because I don't know I'm great yet. So if I'm challenging it, then guess what? I'm gonna recognize that I'm great, because I'm gonna do well, because I'm studying. And guess what? When I do study and I do what I'm supposed to do, and even if I get an 80 on that test, right?
Yeah.
It's better than the 60 that I got on the last one.
Right.
So now I'm challenged. I challenge myself to do better, but they're afraid. They're afraid to do that because of the unknown.
Wow, that's good. That is so funny. And I know my daughter is not listening to this. Otherwise, she would bust through this door right now after I say what I'm about to say right now. That is the one thing that I have to constantly tell her. She shrinks at a challenge. I mean, she like shrinks, and me and Laren, we see this. And for those of you who don't know, Laren, my husband, but we see this and we try to tell her, no, challenges are good. You're not going to know everything. And so when you don't, we encourage her, when you don't know anything, or when you don't know about a particular subject, or you don't know how to do something, guess what? That's like an adventure. That's what I tell her. I'm like, that's like an adventure for you to learn something new. And I have to tell her, I am grown, because kids for some reason they think their parents know it all, like, and that we have it all together and there's nothing else to learn. But I even tell her, I said, I am constantly running into stuff that I don't know.
Yep.
and having to learn new things
Yep.
over and over, not over and over, but learn new things all the time.
Yeah.
So I said there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that you're making yourself smarter, you're making yourself wiser, and you're making it easy for you to be able to understand things moving forward.
That's
So,
right.
I have constantly, and sometimes it get a little rough. I said, honey, you gonna have to snap out of it, girl. We're not going through
Yes.
this drama
Yes.
again. We
Yeah.
have to tell her, come on, let's push through. Let's push through. Remember the adventure. And then once she learns and once she gets it, it's like, mommy, I got this on my test. And I said, I told you that you can do it. And
Yeah.
she's like, I did it. And I said, see, you learned it. You felt very insecure because I know how I felt. When I was growing up, I felt very insecure about something that I didn't know, even if it seemed like everybody else knew it. But once you get past that, learn it and take the pressure off of yourself that you're supposed to know everything, then we're fine. And I think that's with adults and kids.
Oh yeah. Yep. You said something that was very significant, right? We don't do enough of raw honesty to our children. We think that, or the kids think that we just got it all together.
Yeah.
And if we don't give it to them, exactly, if we don't give it to them, like the way that they understand it, and they're always going to be in a space where they think that they have to be perfect because my parents were perfect.
Absolutely.
It's a lie.
A lie, honey.
It's a lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's absolutely a lie. And then, I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how maybe our parents and our grandparents and their parents did it. Hence the reason they kept reciting or repeating that cycle is that they had to, I don't know, for some reason, especially my grandmother's generation, they felt like they had to prove that they knew it all. That they had it all together. So then you have this mindset, well, they know everything and I'm the dumb one, or either I'm the one that doesn't know as much. And they don't. And my grandmother, honey, she probably took it to her grave. She would not admit if she didn't know something. She make you think, no, you the one that got it wrong. I'd be like, no, ma'am. I used to have to tell her when I got grown, I said, Grammy, and she would just chuckle a little bit. But I was like, they felt for some reason that they had to know everything, that they had to, in order to be the parent, the grandparent, I have to be the boss. So I have to make sure that you know that I know more than you. You know more than me. But even my daughter at 8, she teaches me some things because she's a history buff. I was not. Okay, let me just make that clear. I was not a history buff, but she is, and she teaches me stuff even to this day. Mommy, did you know that blah, 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 blah? I said, really? And I let her know, you taught me something new. You're so smart. You know what I mean? So I love how you said that. We're going to jump into this next question. Did you have something else to add, Drew? Because I don't want to cut you off.
No, that was it.
Oh, that was really, that's good. I love this. Hey guys, if you are enjoying this talk so far, please drop a heart, drop some love in the or hit the heart button. Also drop some comments because we want to hear from you guys. We have Kelly. Hey Kelly. She said, exactly. Transparency is key with our children. Me and Kelly had a conversation about that, I think either last week or this week, talking about the older generations, a lot of them, how they didn't want to be transparent. I don't understand, but okay. Nicole Benford. Hey, Nick. That's Julius's boo. She said, I know that I'm better for my parents being transparent about their mistakes. Yes. Their mistakes they made as young people. Oh, I love that, Nicole. She said, okay, I love that. I'm gonna chime there just for a little bit. I so agree, and I was so blessed to have the mother that I have. I said had. I mean, she's still living, but I'm talking about as an adolescent. I was so blessed to have the mother that I have because she was extremely transparent about her mistakes. Extremely. Sometimes so transparent, I wanted to be like this. But but honestly, it saved me from a lot of heartache growing up, especially in those teenage young adult years. So I totally agree with Nicole. And then she said, and then Kelly, yeah, so it's really, really important, you guys, that we as parents are transparent with our kids at the level that the child is at.
Yeah.
Because there's sometimes you can overshare. Do you agree with that? Can you overshare
Oh
at
yeah.
certain ages?
Oh yeah.
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 There's this thing in counseling that asks the therapist to meet the client where they are. But there's ways of doing that with a young person, right? With a very young person. So yeah, you got to be careful with that because everything isn't for everybody at that particular time. So you got to be careful with that. Kids are very impressionable. They're like sponges. So you give it to them, they're gonna soak it up. When you bring that sponge out, you don't know what it's gonna come out looking like. So be careful.
Woo! Woo! He said, "You don't know what's going." Woo!
Yeah.
Y'all better not ring no sponges. Let me tell you, where that come from? You okay? We're gonna move. Absolutely. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so I was looking at Erica Taylor. Erica Taylor, I think this is to you, Drew. She said that math test reference hit way too close to home. Hey, Erica, yes. Let me tell you guys, this is really good. Please make sure that you are inviting some friends. If you haven't already, just hit that little arrow that looks like a flying little paper plane, and you can invite people or share this so people can join us live. Also, okay, here is one that I really wanted to ask. Well, first, we didn't hit the second part of that one where we was talking about the self-sabotage and everything. How are some ways, before I go to my next question, how are some ways that we as parents can help our children avoid? I know validation is one, because we kind of touched on that they need the validation in the home, but to avoid that self-sabotage or those negative mindsets, how can we help our children as parents to avoid that, to be better for society and be better in school?
Yeah. We, like you said, we touched on one already. Always encourage, right? Always be there for your kids. The little things that you give them encouragement for can mean the biggest thing to a child, right? So even something as simple, if you have a kid that in this space, you're having a kid that's having a hard time just logging into class. That's our reality now. But if you give that kid a very quantitative goal of, okay, let's see how many days. Let's do 3 days out of the 5 logging in to class. If they're really struggling, right? And they say they only do 2, instead of being upset about the 3rd one that they didn't do, encourage the other 2.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
Yeah,
and be intentional about it. Be intentional about giving praise, encouraging your kids. It's important, man. It's like that movie Monsters Inc. When they realized that the screams weren't as effective as laughter.
Yes.
It changed the game. It changed the whole game.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. I love that. I love that, because I am I like Monsters Inc. I ain't gonna lie. I like anything animated. But yes, I love that. That is so good. That pointing out the good is always going to outweigh when we point out the negative.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. That's so important. We have to stay positive, parents. We have to stay positive for our kids and show them the good. Let me ask you this: bullying. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. Bullying, is this really a thing now? And if so, what does bullying look like for this generation of youth?
So when I saw that question, I thought about it. I was like, what does bullying actually look like compared to what it was with us, right? I'm gonna tell you, it's very different. It the way kids are being bullied now,
Mm,
um, it hits different for this generation because they do it online mostly through
mm,
social media. Uh,
mhm,
you know, it could be, whereas in our generation, it could have been just maybe a group of kids that all hung out together and
mhm.
they may just be snapping on this kid and, talking about his mama during lunch, right?
Yeah, that's our age of bully.
Right. So, and then that kid feels some way about it. And then, they may go home and maybe learn some jokes themselves, and then they come back home, come back to school, and then they go at it with the other kid and tell their little jokes that they learned on Comic View the night before, right? So kids don't do that now. They find ways to really cut deep with
Mm,
social media. Some
mm,
of it is um, uh, reckless things that kids kind of just do back and forth, not knowing
mm.
that the consequences of doing these reckless things could come back to get them later.
Yeah.
Case in point, like again, I work with high school kids, and
Mm,
one of the kids that I dealt with, young lady had pictures of herself, inappropriate pictures of herself on the internet.
mm. Yeah.
He had it around this friend group, so
Mm,
they all knew about it. And the minute that one of them got into it with her, then it became a separation amongst the group. So
mm.
these pictures that she forgot about were screenshot, saved on this other
Woo.
girl's computer, on a computer, on her phone. And it was like the minute that this situation occurred, she took those pictures and posted them all over social media.
No.
Now,
Oof.
the worst thing that came out of
Mm,
this, right? And this is the difference
mm,
between what bullying was and what it is now, is that
mm,
not only did this young girl get embarrassed by her friend group, but
mhm.
by strangers, people that she doesn't
Yeah.
even know. So
Yeah.
now all the comments are coming in,
Mm.
and they're not pleasant. They're being very
No.
harsh with this girl, right?
Yeah.
She's 14, 15 years old.
Oh
So
my
this is
gosh.
something that, what do they call it? The scarlet letter. Now she
Yeah.
has this big A on her chest between now and forever, because these pictures are
Oh
out
man.
there for all the world to see. And even if she
Mm,
just shuts off her social media,
mm.
there'll be a time when she may come back to it later, and then there'll be new comments about these pictures that she may have did. Now we fast forward 10 years later, right? And then we find
Yeah.
you see these pictures again as an adult, and she's
Oof.
getting bullied again over these pictures that happened when she was 14. So
Yeah.
it's different. It's I think it's a lot
Yeah.
harder for these kids to overcome the type of bullying that they get, because it's not just within their friend group or the kids that they go to school with. It's kids they go to
Mm,
school with, and the kids that go to the neighboring school down the street, and the kids
mm,
that go to
mm.
the school across town,
Right.
and kids that go
Right.
to, in the next county, into the next state, across the country. So it at the across the world at one point. So that's what they have to deal with.
Oh my gosh. And that's so fortunate because, like you said, at least when we were bullied back in the day, it was on the school grounds or out, or on the playground, whatever, and then we could go home and get away from it. But
Yep.
now social media is with you everywhere. So whether you're at home, whether you're out, whether you're at school, it doesn't matter. It's with you everywhere. So that's ongoing. It's always present. That is
Yep.
so. That's
Yes.
so unfortunate. So, how can we as parents help them to be mentally and emotionally prepared for that? Or is there a way that we can prepare? But how can we as parents help them in that?
Um, the best thing that I could say to prepare yourself as a parent for those kinds of things is, um, be present with your kids, um,
Mm,
and also recognize that you want to be friendly to your children, but you're not your
Mm-hmm.
kids' friends.
No, thank you.
They have
Right.
they have friends. They
Mm-hmm.
have people
Mm-hmm.
that they consider their friends. So as a parent, you want to be able to straddle that line appropriately, because when something like that occurs,
Mm-hmm.
you want to come to them as a parent and not their friend,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that's what they need.
Right.
They need someone to come to them and speak reason into that situation, and not speak things that could be very negative and be detrimental to them in the long run.
Right.
As an example, instead of, if you're being that kid's parent in that
Mm-hmm.
space, you're going to talk to them about the do's and don'ts of being inappropriate on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You're
You're
going
gonna
to
give them
talk,
that wisdom. That
right? You're going to
wisdom that
give
we
them that
parents
wisdom.
have.
You're
Mm-hmm.
going to talk to them about how to manage your friends, the people that you consider friends, right? The key things that you
Mm-hmm.
look out for in a friend. Um,
Yeah.
a parent that doesn't necessarily have that mentality, they're gonna come to that kid and say, "Where's she at? Let's go
Yeah.
get her. Let's go
Yeah.
get her
I
and
know
her
some
friend."
parents that do that.
And when you do that, that's not fixing anything. That's
No.
basically stroking your own ego.
Mm-hmm.
Going to go fight a
And,
14-year-old.
yeah, and it is setting a precedence for your children that that's okay. That
Yes,
type of behavior is okay, even from being a teenager, even to when you become an adult, and that's not okay, because
yes,
you will get locked up messing with somebody's
absolutely,
kid.
absolutely. So
Okay, I have one right here. I have a question right here.
yes.
This question is from Kelly. It says, "What is your position on children having social media accounts? At what age do you think social media is appropriate?"
Good question, Kelly. And thank you for that question. Uh, I'm gonna speak from experience. With my children, especially my older two, I think the newest social media thing at that time that they were really holding on to was Snapchat. I think it was. Um,
Okay.
and at that time, there was another one. I can't remember what it was, but
Mhm.
um, did
TikTok.
they sneak? What was it?
TikTok. I think that's
Not
the new
TikTok.
one.
TikTok wasn't
That was
around then, I don't think.
okay.
Um, but I don't remember what the other one was. But what
Oh, Vine maybe.
what they ended up, maybe it was Vine, yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't think either one of them had Facebook accounts at that time, because they started thinking that Facebook was just for old people when my kids were in high school. So, but what they did was, especially with my oldest, like, she was very close to the vest about, yeah, Kevin said Vine. My oldest was very close to the vest about what she did, how she moved around and stuff. So I had to ask a lot of questions. I was very
Mhm.
inquisitive about the things that she was doing, right? And
Yeah.
and even to this day, I don't think that she told me everything. I think she still has a lot of things that she just didn't tell
Right.
me.
Right. Right.
But with accounts, even now, like my younger two, now
Mhm.
my wife and I are very conscious about my youngest, especially, like, putting stuff out there. Like, my wife actually manages his Instagram account, because we recognize that he's a good artist, and we want to
Mhm.
display that. So we put his
And
artwork out there.
his
Yeah,
youngest guy is 8 years old.
he's
So that's
8,
younger.
but
Yeah.
he's a phenomenal artist at 8. So we're able to manage his account. My middle daughter, her being 14,
Mhm.
we had to really kind of, and it wasn't something that just, all right, we dub you your Instagram account and you're gonna have this now, right?
Yeah.
Uh, there's been a lot of back and forth, right? Because
Mhm.
that's a thing that she likes to participate in. So
Mhm.
sometimes we have to use that as a quote unquote motive of being focused. So
Mhm.
we take it from her sometimes. so that she can get back in line.
Yeah,
but
and that's more. Who's 14?
14. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Morgan is 14, but you're watching. You're watching what she's doing. You're monitoring it closely. You guys are still kind of in charge. You watching what she putting up. Yeah, so that's
We
14
follow
years
her.
old.
Yes, we make her follow us. And we monitor the things that she's on there. So fortunately for me though, like none of my kids do social media, anything that I know of. Now, who's on here? Erica, she could probably speak to things that she may have seen that Nia may have posted, Nia and Justin posted when they were in high school, because they're the same age, around the same age. So there was some back and forth there too, because like when we were vibing in the house, that's the first thing that my daughter did. Oh, I'm gonna block y'all. And then fake like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why you're not seeing any of my posts. Like, yeah, because you blocked me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And the bad thing about it is that social media makes it so easy, because they can have I keep hearing on TV about these kids having multiple accounts. So they have one that the parents see and know, and then they have that other one that the parents know nothing about. So you would recommend that if your child is maybe under 16, that it be constant. Really, it needs to be monitored until they are out the house and they can pay their bills. But that's just me. But but that it be closely monitored. If they're younger, like you said, Jordan, who is 8 years old, he has his own Instagram, but you use it for art purposes, because that's his artist page. But his mother manages it. Kelly said her little cousins have been blocking their mother.
It's gonna happen.
Oh my God. I'm gonna put my daughter on the hand block. You better not block me. That's probably why she don't have no Instagram.
Yeah, but the other thing is though, Lynn, that with social media is becoming a very viable part of staying connected, even in this time that we're living in right now, with the school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Schools have their own Instagram accounts. They may put stuff on there to blast an event that's going on at the school. So, you almost have to be able to, I won't say give in, but you have to be able to be very specific about how you're kind of moving in that space, to be able so the kid can get what they need, because teachers may post stuff on a social media site for school. They may need them to do stuff through the internet, and you want that because you want them to be exposed to all this stuff. But it's a landmine sometimes. Trust me.
Yeah, that is too funny. I'm telling you, that is too funny. Okay, so and I'm trying to make sure, because I'm looking. I don't see any questions on Facebook, but here's some things. I know earlier we had talked about bullying and how it really happens through social media, since we're in that vein of social media. But tell us as parents, what are some signs of mental and or emotional stress that parents can look out for in their children that their children may not want to express verbally?
That's a good one. And I actually got my notes for that one.
Pull out your notes, Drew. Pull them out. I remember personally being a teenager, and like I said, me and my mom were close when I was a teen. She was very open. Like it wasn't really much that could shock her. But even still, as a teenager, it's like the tween and the teens, you kind of go through those embarrassing moments. And as an adult be like, that's not embarrassing, but a teen be like, that is too private, that is too personal, and I am embarrassed. You know what I mean? But I remember going through that. So it was certain things I didn't want to share, even though looking back, it wasn't really that serious, but it was embarrassing to me, or I didn't want to share it, with my mother. So pull out your notes. Let's do this. I want to. Inquiring minds want to know, honey. Let's hear.
So physical. It's broken down. Excuse me, between physical signs and emotional signs.
Mm.
And they're two very different, but some of them are kind of one and the same.
Okay.
So physical signs for a student or a kid that's dealing with stress is things like headaches, having an upset stomach, chest pains, possibly, increased heart rate. You have a kid that can't sleep, like insomnia, nightmares. Even kids that are in 11, 12 years old, right? This is a big one. Wet in the bed. Wet in the bed. At that age, with adolescents, that one is like when you're washing their clothes, and they say, "Oh no, I'll take care of these clothes," or and you looking at them like you ain't washed the sheet ever. Now,
right. What you hiding?
Yeah, what you hiding? But when they wet the bed, there's things that are going on, right? They're dealing with things in the subconscious that's causing them so much stress and anxiety that your body is telling you, "Hey, I have a problem here," and I wet the bed.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, that one is one that kind of gets overlooked a lot because if a kid's slick enough, they may change the sheets real quick. You don't really even know it, but it's about being in tune with your child and paying attention to those little things like that. Let's see, increased or decreased appetite.
Oh wow! Yeah. Increased or decreased, or just increased
or decreased? Yeah, if you have a kid that only eats, they eat like a bird, and then all of a sudden, they're shoveling food down like they're trying to, bulk up for the NFL draft, then
that emotional eating.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And and vice versa, right? You have a kid that's expressing that, yeah, I'm not hungry today, or I'm just going to eat a little bit today, right? That's a sign. There's things that are going on there that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
The emotional signs are more outright, like you see the anxiety, right? The mood swings, and that one can be a little tough too, because especially with adolescents, they're moody,
anyway,
most of the time anyway, right? Yeah. Right. So, but again, it's about asking the right questions and being intentional about knowing the difference between, okay, my child is just having a moment right now versus, okay, give it a number, like 2 or 3 days, and your kid is still in this quote unquote funk, then yeah, something's wrong. Something's not right.
Yeah.
A kid being restless, always needs
this is awake. Restless awake.
Yes. Restlessness. And even when they're sleeping, right? Like if you do, and I know you do, like I do, you check in on the kids and you're watching them, and they're rustling, or they're maybe taking a nap on the couch, and you realizing that they're not getting a good sleep, right? That's definitely a sign. If you have a kid who's beyond the age where they want to be up underneath you all the time, pay attention. Like, hey, what's going on? Like they're asking, hey, you just going to the store, and they say, hey, where are you going? I want to go, or I always want to go with you when before it was like, all right, see you later.
Got you. So this is out of the norm. These aren't like kids that are already, they always been attached to one or two parents, but it's just like all of a sudden now you really want to cling tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Any new or reoccurring fears that the kid may have.
Mm.
Uh, Recognizing those
Ooh.
things. A lot of times, uh, even paying attention, even in this space, right? There's a lot of people that we've lost to this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a
Absolutely.
real fear out
Mhm.
there for our kids that who's next?
Golly. And they're internalizing that.
Absolutely.
You know, I haven't heard about, well, I know my child, she, hasn't, but I'm sure kids don't know how to express
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
anxiety of loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
So then the other side of that is right. They don't know how to express it. They don't know how to verbalize it. So what do? It goes deep, and then you get headaches, then you get stomach aches, you get chest pains, you get nightmares, all these different things. So,
Mm,
but the emotional thing, recognizing new or reoccurring fears, those can
hmm.
manifest into other things. Uh,
Yeah.
Increased crying or an increased mood of anger, right?
Oh, wow.
If you have a kid that all of a sudden just starts throwing stuff, you
Oh,
know,
Lord.
pay attention to that. They're not just being
How can you,
yeah,
how can you not say, hey, hey, hey?
right,
How can you not pay
right,
attention to something that drastic? Oh,
yeah,
my
yeah.
goodness.
Or
Mm.
even that anger part. Go check your kid's room. Check behind the door, right? See if there's a hole
That's
somewhere
good.
that wasn't there before, right?
Hmm.
Check around the baseboards where they could have been kicking behind their bed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're looking for signs of anger. It's not necessarily explosive, but there is imploded anger, and they're doing it behind closed doors. It's
both,
secret,
both.
yeah,
Yeah,
or both. Okay,
yeah,
both.
yeah.
Wow.
Um, a kid not being motivated. If you have a child who's always, I don't want to do that, but this is your favorite thing to go do. You don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
Right.
Nah, I don't want to do that. Oh, okay. But some of those things aren't instantaneous, right? It may be one time and you check
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay. Then the second time you may give it an eyebrow. The third
Yeah.
time you asking questions. All right, well, why don't you want to do this anymore? What's going on? Why not? What's happening? This
Wow.
thing used to motivate you out the world, and now all of a sudden, it doesn't. Um,
Ooh.
Most kids aren't going to give a direct answer. It's just, well, I just don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't feel like it. I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, this one here with the shoulder shrug.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's his
Mm-hmm.
own language.
Yeah.
Or this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
um,
Wow.
the last two, not focusing, uh,
Uh,
and we touched on that before. And if you have a kid who is withdrawn, like
mm,
completely, spends a lot of time in their room, uh,
mm-hmm.
or they have some friends that they just don't talk to anymore,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Yeah, that's definitely an emotional sign of stress.
Golly. That those are powerful, Drew. And I think some of those things are things that we would never think of as
Hmm.
parents to look for, especially if you personally didn't um didn't experience it growing up
Yeah,
like yourself. You know what I mean? So, ooh, those are so good. I'm gonna be watching. I already be watching like how Larry be like, back up, no sorry, because you're not gonna tell me that my child did something crazy, like shoot up something or do something, and then
yeah,
and then I'm saying I didn't know what was going on. The devil is a lie.
yeah,
So I be
absolutely.
all in my child's business. She be like, "Mommy," I be like, "Madison."
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
yeah, we have to pay attention to our children and what's going around. And the world is just so crazy now. It's way different than when we were growing up.
yeah.
So to be very cautious, it almost makes you nervous. I mean,
Mm.
to have to be so intently watching on
Yeah.
everything that's going on. Jew, those are so good.
Thank
So
you.
let me ask you this, and I want to make sure that, and then we're going to wrap up after this last question. Um, Let me see. I had one. I think we covered mostly everything. I'm gonna ask you this: as a Christian man, what added steps do you take, and do you recommend to other Christian parents in how they can help their teens? If you could just share like 1 to 2 things, that'd be good. I mean, do you think it matters? But I know that you're a Christian man, so what would you say we can do as Christian parents to help our teens, to help them to adjust mentally, emotionally, to society and the things that are going on?
Yeah. So I have three.
Oh,
Uh,
good. That's good.
so number one, and I'm actually going to go backwards because I think the last one is probably the most important. Uh,
Okay.
but number one is be around other like-minded people.
Mm, absolutely. I love that.
You know, because the Bible talks about people being together all the time, right?
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
of like-minded.
Yes.
So being able to do that and pull from other people that, because again, I'm no expert. I don't know everything. So
Right.
I draw myself and my knowledge from, things I may have read, um,
Mm-hmm.
talking to my wife, but other things that maybe outside of my home, I may have an older person that um, went through, that has kids that are grown, that been through the same thing that I went through. So we
Yeah.
talk and they give me good information. They give me good feedback. And,
That's good.
so I decipher through those things and I process them. And then, I try to give them back to my family the best way that I can.
Yeah.
But being around like-minded people is so, so important. So important.
Yes, it is.
Um, the second one was involve your kids in, things that are going on in the church.
Yeah.
Um, and this time is kind
That's
of
good.
difficult, but I
Yeah.
know with my church, we still do children's church every Sunday.
Oh,
Sunday
good.
school. Yeah, it's all virtual, but
Yeah.
they get it in. They still get it
Yeah.
in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I love that because it keeps the kids involved and still continues to give them that foundation, that spiritual foundation that's so needed. Because when they leave this house, I can tell them all day long, you got to do this, you got to do that, but it's going to take something that was embedded in them for it to grow back out into something. I mean, we all done it, so
Yeah.
I love that. So keep your kids involved. When church open back up for everybody, if your kids don't want to be in the church choir, have them do it anyway.
He's like, you gonna sing this hymn.
Oh, you
You
gonna
gonna sing
sing,
this hymn.
right?
Look at
But jokingly, but we, like have your kids do stuff because
absolutely.
it also gives your kid great self-esteem when they're doing something that's so
Yes.
familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And church teaches you how to speak in front of people when you do those church
Absolutely.
plays and all that stuff. I mean,
Yep.
that's just preparing you for that debate team that you're gonna be on in the college.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
All those things. I mean, Christyl, how many times did Mom Patterson put you in front of everybody and have you singing?
Boy, oh boy, she'd be like, "You gonna grab this mic and you gonna sing? Stop acting scared." I'll tell you, but I'm a singing ninny right now. She like, "You gonna sing? Get up there, stop acting up." I'd be like, "Man," and I used to hate them for that. Every Baptist conference, every youth function, they had me in there. But I tell you what, even though I didn't like it as a kid, I appreciate it now.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah,
appreciate it now. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Let
Build
me
that
find out.
foundation.
Let me find out. Mom Patterson was being Miss Clark,
Yes.
Moss Clark.
She wasn't throwing no shoe, but she gave you that eye, which felt like she was throwing a shoe. She looked under that baby grand. You know how the piano top go up? She'd be like this. Get the mic.
Yeah.
Look at
Hilarious. Yeah.
That's right. That's
So
right. What's your third one?
the last
Huh?
one and the most important one is pray over your family.
Yes,
Pray
prayer.
over your children. Pray with your kids.
Yes.
And like there are times when, and I'm saying this from experience, right? Like there are times when you like, I don't know what to do. I don't know
That,
what to do.
yeah. I've
And
been there.
I may get to the point where I don't feel like uh my prayer is going to be enough, or what my
Yeah.
wife and I, we may be so entwined in whatever this thing is that we may not be able to call out the right things to say in that
Yeah.
moment. So
Yeah.
if we don't pray, then I'm going to ask somebody else to pray.
That's right. So have some praying folks in your circle.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So those are my three, and I hope that any of those things would be helpful.
Absolutely. Good. Jude, this was some good stuff. If you guys think this is some good stuff, please drop some hearts. If you hold the heart button on Facebook, it'll just burst hearts, and that's what we want to see. If you are on I think some of you are on YouTube, then definitely put it in the chat that you are enjoying it. Jude, I'm gonna drop this. I just dropped the link in here, guys. And I want you, this is selfcounseling.com. This is where you will be able to work with Jew. And what's the other guy? It's another counselor there.
So, yeah, this is where I'm actually doing my internship right now. And I got to give a special shout out to Kareem Paranda. Kareem has been nothing but amazing to me, to my life, to this process that I'm going through right now. Yeah, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because this dude has done nothing. I mean, he's been amazing. He's been nothing but amazing to me, for me, with helping me get these hours that I need to get, and the knowledge that he's able to give me on how to be a good counselor, specifically for Black and brown people.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. So we have any other shout outs? Can I shout
Absolutely. Shout out, honey. They probably on here. Shout them out.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to my therapist, Polk. He's another great Black man that's pouring into me and making sure that I'm good.
Yes.
I want to shout out to my church family, C.N. Jenkins Presbyterian Church.
Yes.
Me and Justin, Morgan, and Jordan, I love you guys, man.
I do too.
And last but not least, I want to give, or before that, give shout out to my mother, right?
Yes, Mom.
And I want to give a shout out to my lovely wife, of course. And thank you for just being supportive. And and Lynn, thank you. Thank you. 1,000 times. So
yes, thank you. This was so good, and it is so needed. I mean, you gave a wealth, and when I say a wealth, I mean that, a wealth of information. I so appreciate you. And look at the Charlotte Benford tribe in the house. We are the North Benford tribe in the house for now. Look at
right.
I thank God for this. I thank God for you all. This has been absolutely phenomenal. You guys, you can book, and now they don't just deal with adolescents at self-taught counseling. They deal with the whole family. So they help the entire family. You don't have to just send your kids, because like he said, he gave a shout out to his therapist. We need to understand that in the Black community, therapy is not bad. Everybody needs someone unbiased that they can talk to, that can help them work through the issues of life. And for generations, Black people, sorry, but we have really put that off, and we looked at that as like it was leprosy.
Yeah.
So we need to really hold on to that counseling. Counseling is needed, especially in this time. We're dealing with so many mental and emotional sicknesses and disorders, like depression. And I think it's not disorders, but give me the right term.
Yeah.
Mental health issues. That's what
Mhm.
it's called. Mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and all these other things that we're dealing with right now that are even heightened. So there is nothing wrong with getting counseling. Now, when they call self-talk counseling to book an appointment, do they need insurance? Will they have to pay out of pocket? Give us a little more details about that.
So he does take insurance. He does take individuals that just want to pay out outright. So yeah. Nalo is the admin, and you'll talk with her initially, and then you'll either talk with myself or Kareem to do your assessment, and then once we get all that stuff out of the way, then we can get in there and start breaking down some of those negative beliefs. And
that's right. Break them down.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I am so excited about this. Thanks you guys for joining us. Drew, I want you to hold on. I'm gonna go on and do the closing. Drew, you hold on the back end for me. Okay, good. And then for you guys out there, let's show Drew some love. He can still see the love in the hearts. Give some hearts again. Please make sure that you are sharing this on your pages and with other people. If you enjoyed it, we want to share with other people that are going to enjoy it. I mean, that will enjoy it too, is what I'm trying to say. So please make sure that you're sharing it on Facebook or whatever page that you're on. Also, I want you guys to, if you're on the YouTube side, please subscribe to my channel so that you'll be notified every time that I go live or every time that I'm dropping some really good content that's going to help you improve your mindset and spirituality. And even for those of you that are entrepreneurs, because I don't leave us out, because I'm an entrepreneur myself. So make sure you subscribe. If we're not friends on Facebook, let's be friends on Facebook and Instagram at Christyl Benford. I'm about to say .com. No. But if you want to learn more about these amazing, come on, I'm going to have to throw this in there. Since we're talking about mindset, these are not only good for adults, but they are good for your young people too, honey. Okay, because what they will do is they will give you for 30 days, you get 30 of these. Look at all of these. I just dropped some over there. But 30 days of these, you get the affirmations. And on the back of the affirmations, you get a scripture for that day that goes with that affirmations, that goes with that particular affirmation. After your 30 days are done, just rinse and repeat. You can get those at affirmingpower.com. That's affirmingpower.com. affirmingpower.com. And then don't forget to grab your Avoiding the Self-Sabotage Trap book, 10 Powerful Ways, honey, to stop the horrors of self-sabotage. This is not just for adults. Adults, come on, we need to level up. But if you want to help your kid level up, do this book with your kid. It's really easy. I made sure that everything that was in it was applicable and easy, not rocket science. So you can use it for yourself and for your child. You can get this at avoidselfsabotage.com, avoidselfsabotage.com. But check out all the product suite for the Mindset Fix products at crystylbenford.com. Again, that is crystylbenford.com. The book comes in ebook as well as the physical copy I just showed you. Plus, coming soon will be the audio book. But you can get a free copy of the audio chapter at crystylbenford.com. If you sign up, you'll get an audio chapter on comparison from that book, Avoiding the Self-Sabotage Trap. So you guys, thank you for hanging with us, rocking with us. I know this one went kind of longer than my other ones, but it was a wealth of information. We need to boss up and level up, not just individually, but as parents, as business owners, in our career, in our spirituality. It is time that we stop playing around and that we live our best life. In order to do that, it's going to start with the mindset, and then the actions are going to have to fall into place. And that's what my channel's all about, boo. Woohoo! All right, so let's give some more love to my cousin brother, Julius Benford. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Love y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.